What's up everyone? Thanks for joining me in another Ableton live tutorial. This video is a very special one and is for the people who are new to Ableton. By the end of this video, you'll feel comfortable to jump right in and start creating beats. This video is not sponsored by Ableton, but I have included the link to a free version you can download right now to get started right away. In the project that we're going to discuss, I've used default instruments as well as included some free samples down in the description of this video so that you can follow along. And you're going to want to watch this video right up until the end because I share some amazing free VST plugins as well as one bonus tip. Alright, without any further ado, let's jump right in. So when you first open Ableton, you're going to be met with the session view. You can hit tab to switch to the timeline view, which is where we're going to be working for this project. You can also click these buttons here to switch between the two views. On the left here we have our file browser. On the bottom we have an area for our effects and chains. On the right we can see our MIDI and audio track channels. The first thing you want to do is we want to go onto our file browser and add our samples folder. And you can add the samples in the video description to this folder. As you can see, I already have a few sample folders here. When you first open the project, this is going to be the default layout. We get 2 MIDI tracks and we get 2 audio tracks. The difference between the two, put simply, audio tracks is where we add our samples and MIDI tracks is where we add our notes. Now I wish someone had told me this when I first started. To add a MIDI clip and get started in the piano roll, we can highlight the selected area, right click and say insert empty MIDI clips. We can see now that our piano roll has shown up at the bottom. We can also add a MIDI clip by recording, but for that we have to arm our track first, which can be done here. And then when we hit record, you can see that a MIDI clip is added. To zoom in and out, look for areas with a magnifying glass and drag up and down. We can see that there's a few areas where we can do this. I want the song to be 124 beats per minute. So to change that, we can go to the top left and click and drag up. Next, let's add a drum loop to our audio track. We can do this by clicking and dragging it into the channel. Next, let's drag this out to 8 bars. To do that, hover over the edge and click and drag. The way that I see the bars is you can see that there's different shades of gray here, where this is slightly darker and this is slightly lighter. To change this, we can right click and select how many bars we want to see. This up here is the looper. We can drag the edges out and then right click and say loop. Now it will loop at the 8 bar mark. This is a bit loud for me, so to turn the volume down, we can go here and drag down. That's better. Next, let's add a kick. Select the first MIDI track, then choose your kick sample and double click to load it into the sampler. We can adjust the start and end time of our kick by dragging these arrows here. Once you've chosen your kick sample and loaded it into the sampler, double click this empty MIDI track, then add your drum beats to the piano roll by double clicking. Now because the kick drum is consistent throughout the whole song, we don't need this section of the MIDI clip. To shorten the length, you can go to the left here and drag this down to 1. You can see how the MIDI clip is shortened now. Next, let's add a clap and a snare. This time around, we're going to use a drum rack, so we can layer the 2 drums. Head over to drums and double click on the drum rack. Then head over to your samples, then choose your clap and a snare and drag it onto the drum rack. This time we're going to record it straight into Ableton. Remember to arm the track. Hit record. So as you can hear, my timing was way off. To fix that, select all your notes, right click and click Quantize. If you want to increase the velocity, we can go down to the bottom section here and drag these up. We can extend our MIDI notes here by hovering over the side and dragging. To copy this over to the clap, we can select all our notes again, hold Alt and drag downwards. Now to duplicate this so it spans across 8 bars, we can select our MIDI clip. I'm using a Mac, so Command equals Control on a Windows. Command D, Command D, Command D. To join this so that it's one MIDI clip, we can say Command J. And then if we want to split this again, we can use Command E. In some parts of the song, we may want to EQ our kick drum, head over to Audio Effects and double click on EQ8. Now to remove some of the low end, we can select this little arrow here and choose this curve. Now we play it. We can drag this to the right. We can add more MIDI and audio tracks by right-clicking and saying Insert Audio or Insert MIDI Track. We can reorganize this by clicking and dragging. We can also add some plugins by heading over to our file browser. And for an example, I'm going to use Serum. Sometimes this window can disappear, but to get it back, you can go and click on this little wrench here. Serum is a paid plugin, and I highly recommend it. Let's add some cymbals to the timeline. But head back over to the samples folder and choose some cymbals. This time I'm going to drag this into the audio channel because this has better warping features. For example, a nice feature is that we can right click here and hit reverse, and it creates a nice uprise effect. Now this gets a bit messy sometimes. To organize this, hold Shift, click the first and last track, and then hold Alt and click this little arrow to close all of these folders. While holding Alt, we can drag this to expand all of these at the same time. Now I'm going to replace Serum with the default instrument, and this time I'm going to go with Juicy Ladder Bass. This has a really nice rolling gliding effect. Now sometimes when you click the piano roll, it won't play any sounds. To make it play sounds, click this little headphone icon here. Now it will play sounds when you click the keys. Now if you're using an audio interface, like my launch key behind me, you can select in, auto, or off. If we choose in, it will play all the time. If we select auto, it'll only play when recording. And if we select off, it won't play at all. If we want to take this a step further, we can add sidechaining to it. To do that, go to Audio Effects and choose the glue compressor. If we head over to this little window here, click this little arrow, then select sidechain. In this little drop down, choose your kick drum. Then adjust the threshold and makeup accordingly. Oh yeah. Now it has a pulsating effect, famous amongst dance music. As I said earlier, I'm going to share some great free plugins. So the first one up is Keyzone. Keyzone Classic is an amazing free VST plugin, and it has some great presets like a Yamaha grand piano. The other free tool is Bass Kleph Washout. I'm going to add this onto the master, and you'll see when I turn the effect up, it washes everything out, giving it that building and rising effect. And now for the bonus tip. Automate your sounds. So I'm going to automate this washout dial. And if I right click, say show automation, this little red line here, I can then drag this up and we can see the dial moving. And if I create another node and drag that down, you can see I'm telling it to rise up here and then it's going to go back down again. And if I hold Alt, we can bring up a curve tool and then drag downwards to curve the line. And that's it. Now you're set to make your own amazing beats and melodies. If I missed anything, please let me know down in the comments and I will respond. If you found any sort of value in this video, please like and subscribe and enable notifications so that you know when I've created some new videos. But for now, I'll see you next time.